what fascinated you about planes that you said, I want to be a part of that?
I was always fascinated with aviation. I went to the United States Air Force, became an air traffic controller there.
Well, how many employees do you have?
Somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500. Becoming an air traffic controller is very stressful.
On a daily basis, how many flights are you responsible for?
Probably 20, 30,000.
Hello, everyone. This is U-Turn, back again with another great episode. So this is U-Turn. I'm Kevin.
And Emma.
And we're here today with another great story about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And maybe in this case, we got an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things. I've been so excited to do this interview. I met this gentleman a while back, and we've been trying to get our schedules together. And I don't think I'm going to say you guys are going to be excited to hear this. I'm excited to welcome to the studio today Mr. Deno Brown, who is the general manager of traffic services. And what that title basically means is he's running about 30 airports of all the air traffic controllers. So I don't know how he could do it because I could barely get out my own way to get to work every morning. But he's getting people all over the Midwest, back and forth to different parts of the country and different parts of the world. And I just want you to take time, get to know him, and let's welcome Mr. Deno Hall here on U-Turn. Mr. Hall, thanks for coming in today.
No, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So, look here. Tell us exactly how many airports are you running? I know you was telling me how it would break down, but how does that work again?
Right now, we are 19 federal aviation towers at airports and additional 12 or 13 federal contract towers,
Okay.
FCTs,
And then what
throughout
are
the
federal?
district.
What's the federal contract towers? What does that mean?
Those are smaller level air traffic control towers that used to be FAA towers,
Okay.
but now they've contracted out, just like you contract something out, like parts to your facility.
Right.
You used to own those companies, but now you just contract them out to an independent contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the FTC is the main one.
No, it's a smaller one. Those
Okay.
are the smaller facilities.
Those are the small. And then
Yeah.
the FAA is the larger
Yes.
ones. All right. Okay. And then, but they all need to have somebody tell them how
That
to
is
get
correct.
people.
That is correct.
So with that being said, on a daily basis, how many flights are you responsible for?
Probably 20, 30,000.
Oh, wow.
That runs into, every airport, every airplane in and out of O'Hare, Midway, Milwaukee, Madison. The district runs all the way north up to like Green Bay, Wisconsin,
Okay.
going out west to Des Moines, Iowa, or Cedar Rapids,
Okay.
down to the south, which is Champaign from here.
Right.
And
Right.
out to the east, we go all the way out to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and northeast, we're going up to like Kalamazoo, Michigan. So that's the geographical area that we call the Chicago district or the Chicago metropolitan
Okay.
area.
So that being the case, so you got the Chicago metropolitan area
Right.
that covers all that.
Right.
So is that the biggest, or is it another one just as big?
What do you mean biggest? You
Like
mean
like
within
the area. So is it? I know
Yeah, there are
how-
larger areas, but
Like Chicago.
yeah,
we
like
got
L.A.,
LA,
New York,
New York.
Atlanta,
Okay.
Denver, and Dallas, Fort Worth. Some of the larger districts, but
Okay.
yeah, Chicago is a major district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a major hub within the transportation community.
Yeah, because I know like the Chicago O'Hare Airport,
Right.
like one of the most busiest
That is
ones that's
correct,
out
yes.
there.
Yeah.
That's why it's been so hard to get you out here. We was almost going to try to see if we can actually send somebody that'll mic them up and do it there. But I appreciate you taking the time
Yeah,
and
no
coming to
problem.
visit with us
Yeah, I
today
know.
and kind of share with people, how'd you get in and how did it start?
Well, actually, it started when I was in probably high school.
Uh-huh.
There were three things that I wanted to do when I grew up. When I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a doctor because I thought hearing the words, paging Dr. Hall, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, right. Dr. Hall.
Right. I thought that would have been cool, but I'm afraid of blood. So that didn't work. That didn't work for me.
Yeah, then maybe that won't work out
Right.
too well.
So then, the second one was I wanted to be an airline pilot.
Okay.
I couldn't be an airline pilot graduating out of high school. You have to have a college degree.
Right.
So then my third thing was air traffic control, and
Okay.
that's the career I chose.
Okay.
I went to the United States Air Force, became an air traffic controller there at Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi.
Okay.
Had the radar approach control called a RAPCON, but radar. Learned one thing after that was you have to have a second plan. You got to
Okay.
have that, that backup plan just in case if the first one doesn't work. So then I got out of there, did 4 years in the United States Air Force.
Well, thank you for your service. Sir.
Got out of there and then came back home and went to SIU, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale,
Yeah.
and graduated from there with an aviation degree in management. Aviation management degree.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
it's something that you don't really ever think about.
Well, I'm glad
Is that-
you did because there's a lot of people
yeah.
that's relying on
I
you.
know a lot of people. How many employees do you have?
Somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah, and all them getting those planes in,
Yes.
up out of there. And I know I travel a lot, not as much as you bring people in and out, but I'm always curious as how do they navigate that? Like, because out here I could just relate to it just on traffic, right? So we got one way. You go one way, they got all the things all marked, you got the stop signs, and you have all that. In the air, I'm sure you guys got your own metrics or ways of making the plane go where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, the equipment in the planes nowadays, and planes can just about fly themselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But basic air traffic control is 1,000 feet, 5 miles.
Okay,
So we separate airplanes in 3 ways.
okay,
Longitudinally, that's one airplane behind the other airplane, which has to be 5 miles in trail.
okay,
Laterally, 5 miles apart also, lateral at the same altitude, 5 miles, and then vertically on top of each other, 1,000 feet separation.
okay, okay.
And also, in air traffic, we have 2 directions. It's either east or west. So we use a compass in order for us to determine an airplane going east or west. And the compass has 360 degrees. So from 360 degrees to 179 degrees, we consider that airplane going east. From 180 degrees to 359 degrees, we consider that airplane going west.
Wow.
So an airplane going northeast, east, due east, or southeast, that airplane is still going east.
Okay.
So we give them odd altitudes, be 9,000, 11,000, 13, 15, 21, 25.
Okay.
They're going westbound, no matter they're going southwest, west, or northwest, they get even altitudes. So they get 8, 10, 20, 40, 30, 32, 38, and that's
Right.
how we separate.
Wow.
Wow.
So
You never
an
really
airplane
think
going
about that.
eastbound is 9, the airplane going westbound is at 10. And that's how we separate them.
Yeah. Well,
That's interesting.
so like I know like lately it's been some things where people have been crashing into each other and they've been having accidents at the beginning of the year. We had earlier was a helicopter ran into a commercial one, and then we had a passenger one, and then we had another one where I believe it was in Philadelphia where people lost their life. It was a private plane. It was doing some type of almost a life-saving mission or something. They had it was a thing. What happens in a situation like that where?
Honestly, I don't know because that's not Chicago.
Okay.
You're like, I'm doing good over here.
I can't give you the details on that because I don't know.
But if something like that, hypothetically speaking, something like that, what are the most common reasons why stuff like that happens? Just wrong altitudes, not paying attention.
No, I don't.
User
You can't
error.
estimate. All I can say is 2 airplanes can't occupy the same space at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like 2 cars can occupy. What
Yeah.
happens?
Right,
They
right,
crash.
Yeah.
right. They crash. So
Right.
right. So is it? So in a situation like that, that's probably more so people not paying attention to the air traffic controller.
I
Or you
can't-
have no idea.
No,
Got
I don't
you.
know.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
say
like,
nothing.
don't say nothing. Don't.
I say, you stick with Chicago.
Yeah. He's like, we're good over
Chicago's
here.
been safe.
Yeah. It's like, we're good over
But
here.
thank goodness, because I fly out of Midway probably at least once a month, and then probably O'Hare at least twice a month. So Thank you
But
for keeping it safe.
remember, air traffic, airplane transportation is the safest mode of transportation.
Yeah.
yeah, because you know what, it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
Like if an accident happens, whereas I mean, how many accidents happen on the road every single
Exactly.
day that never even hit the news
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
it's common.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, matter of fact, I know in the major cities, police won't even come out anymore unless the ambulance is called or someone is actually hurt. Other than that, they say make your own report, take a couple pictures, send it to the insurance
Yeah.
company. So it's a lot different. So
One thing I want to know is, so you said in high school you knew those three options
Yeah,
were they were going to be in game, but growing up as a child, like, what caused that inspiration for those things?
My parents,
Okay, what'd your parents do?
yeah,
they encouraged education.
yeah,
Get an
Education?
yeah.
What'd they do for work?
My mother was a housewife, and my father worked in construction.
okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So you knew when. So how did you get the plane idea, right? Because I didn't get on my first plane. I hate to say it. I didn't take my first plane ride until I was an adult. I grew up in Chicago, but we grew up, a little different, right? We just didn't have all the means. Where I see these. I'm in the plane all air. Even my kids. So I can't even say other kids. My kids. They was on the plane probably when they was 2 or 3 years old, right? My first plane ride happened when I was in my 20s, so like maybe 21, 22 or something like that. And matter of fact, I think I was taking the kids then. So anyway, so back then, what fascinated you about planes that you said, I want to be a part of that?
I was always fascinated with aviation.
Yeah.
Always, that my interest growing up as a kid. Getting toys of airplanes and all of that. Yeah, so that's probably where it came from, also.
Really?
And I was always fortunate to realize that when air traffic controllers weren't the guys who were up doing this with the flashlights.
Yeah,
I knew it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
people
what
even still today think that when they see air traffic controller, they think the guys on the ramps with the flashlight.
That's
yeah.
what
You
I
know,
thought.
right.
That's what I thought
Seriously?
up until this moment. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know. Kevin, I've only ever flown like 5 times in my life.
Oh, wow. Well, no, yeah. Those people, they just tell a person.
Right.
Oh, no, yeah.
They already done.
Right.
Once they stop waving those flags, the flight is over.
Right.
They're on the ground.
Yeah.
They just tell you where to pull into the gate.
Well, I guess now thinking about it, that makes more sense. So you're monitoring what they're doing as
the
they're
air.
in the air. Okay.
And on the ground
That's what they
also.
call air traffic control.
On the airport.
Yeah, because you got to tell them when to take
Right.
off, when they can land.
When they can taxi to the
When they
the
can
ramps,
come-
right?
Yeah, so yeah.
To the
no,
gates. Yes.
Yeah. No, I always see stuff like that, and it's 24 hours because
Yeah.
I know sometimes I look up at night and when I can't sleep, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, man, these planes are good. Or catching the red eye, we used to call it. We used to jet down to Vegas sometimes. And,
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. Anyway, but those red eyes, people are up, perking, they're ready to go,
Right.
and they doing it. So, when was the first time that you jumped on a plane?
I think the first time I was on that plane was when I went into the United States Air Force.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And
What was
down
that?
in San Antonio-
How
down
was
in
the
San
experience being in the Air Force? How was it?
I loved it. Actually, I really loved it. I enjoyed it. I made a lot of friends that I'm still have relationships with today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
And I read the story. They're pretty proud of the work that you've done. I read that story in the Air Force about your career, how you
Yeah.
got started, and now how you running like one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the United States.
Yeah, that was done in 2020. Yeah, they did this article on my career regarding what I had done up to that point. And at
Right.
that point, I was the air traffic manager at the Chicago Air Route Traffic Control Center in Aurora, Illinois.
Right.
So yeah, they did that article, and I was pretty pleased about it. I thanked them for it also.
Really. And so now look, they got more to tell. Now now you've been promoted even more.
Yeah, right.
So how did you end up working your way up?
Actually, you come into the facility as an air traffic controller as a trainee, and then you gravitate to people gravitate to you, and
Yeah.
then you like getting mentors, and people would tell you, oh, do this, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I don't know anything, so I'm doing it.
Yeah.
well, put your name in for this position, put your name in for that position. And when you're young in your career, people you don't know.
Right.
You
Yeah.
just hope people have the best interest for you.
Yeah,
Right.
of
And
course.
that's what happened. And that's what I do now also. I always tell people I have a responsibility as the general manager to reach back and help those because someone helped me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have that responsibility.
Who
so,
is your biggest inspiration? Or who would you say your biggest mentor was?
Well, I would say probably, I have several, but Lynette Geary, Melvin Smith, Terry Locke, those are the individuals who helped me throughout my career.
Yeah.
So they was so some people that saw something in you and
Yeah.
said, you know what, let's move it on up.
Yeah, and I see things in people just like they saw things in me now, and I give them advice. This is, you may want to look at this, you may want to go here,
Yeah.
may want to go there. Yeah, it's just about helping individuals to move around obstacles and barriers that they may not see for themselves to help them, in their careers. Because
So
I have that
was-
responsibility.
Was failure ever an option for you?
Failure is not an option. Failure
Yeah.
is never an option.
So I feel like I've said it in other podcasts, but that's a very big common denominator that we've noticed with people who are doing extraordinary things. Failure was never an option. for
Failure is
them.
never
They
an
were
option.
always gonna keep going.
Right.
They were gonna pick themselves up. I mean, at some point you're gonna fail, but it's
Right.
how you
Right.
how you overcome it. And I feel
Yeah,
like
there's
that's
going to be adversity, especially in air traffic, because
Yeah.
becoming an air traffic controller is very stressful
Yes.
yeah.
because you have someone behind your back training you, and you have to make sure that you know what you're doing. You got to make sure that person knows what they're doing, and the pilots have the confidence in you to make sure that you know what you're doing also.
Yeah, because I mean, you have millions of people's
Yeah.
lives in your hands every single day.
Every single day, probably
But
almost every hour.
I never
on the
thought
hour.
of it as like that because
Yeah.
you can't be scared.
Yeah,
When
you can't be scared.
When you
You
give
have to,
instructions,
yeah,
you
you
have
have
to,
to
yeah.
Good
be
doing it.
stern
Right.
and
Yeah.
know what you're doing.
All right, so just want to go back to like a scary time. Just listening to your stories of how you have to control all the things that's going on. Going back to a terrible time in our history, it was like 9/11, right? All these planes was flying around, and I remember that they said they had to get all the planes out the sky, right? Because they didn't know what was going on. What type of day was that like?
That was a very stressful day in the aviation community. An incident occurred, and then you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You
yeah,
really
I
just
mean,
don't know.
Yeah.
So the order came down. This is what we have to do, and that's what we had to do.
So how did you navigate pulling all those flights out without having with no damage, right?
Well, actually, air traffic is run from a national standpoint.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's like in Washington, D.C., the national that for the entire United States.
Right.
And then we have we have other districts within the United States, air
Right.
traffic control facilities, and there's coordination and the communication.
Okay.
And that's how we do. Once the word comes down, it's communicated, and then we have to implement it.
All right. And then how many are there Deno halls in America, right? So how many? Because I know you got this area. So like you
There's
got
about 25.
there's 25 of you
Yeah.
guys. And they all-
25 general managers.
general
throughout
manager, and
the-
they got different areas that they got to work
yeah,
with.
throughout the United States. Yes.
So when that word comes down, then they give them to you guys,
Right.
and then
And
you
it
got to
gets
make
passed-
sure your
right.
team get those,
Correct.
get them out.
So who's your boss? Do you have a boss?
Of course.
President of the United States.
We all have
I was like, wait, do you have a boss?
Yeah, it's just, the hierarchy just rolls all
Yeah.
the time. Oh, yeah. My immediate boss right now is Anthony Wells. He's the deputy director of the Central Service Area in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Okay.
And he's out of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
How many Anthony Wells are there?
Well,
25?
yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I take that back. The United States is divided within 3 sections: Eastern, Central. We're in the Central, and then it's Western.
Okay.
So there's 2 in the Eastern, 2 in the Central, and 2 in Western.
You think you want that job one day, or
No,
you think
no,
you think you're pretty maxed out for
I'm
now?
good.
say you good.
He was like, I'm good. I'm doing great things. I don't need the extra pressure right now.
All right, so if a young person wanted to get into this career, what would you tell them? First of all, would you recommend them doing it?
Of
And
course.
two, what would be the path you can kind of instruct someone how to get there?
It all depends on how you're going to go. Yeah, I would. Air traffic is one of the careers that people don't know a whole lot about.
Right.
So, but yeah, I would
Apparently, like Emma,
Yeah, like me.
thought we was bringing
Hey,
people in on the ground.
that's why we do
That's
it.
why we do what
and
we
I get
do.
to learn new things.
So do I.
and-
So yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There are
right.
there are several paths. You go to the military the way I did.
Yep.
And then college. There's college out there also. Also, there's particularly colleges with respect to air traffic control courses and careers.
Really?
Yeah.
And I know you said it's stressful.
Well,
So does when a young student trying to go through it, how many people do you kind of make it out of that? Because I remember at one time, I know the air traffic controllers had a high suicide rate at one time, and that was hard to. He said he ain't have no problem.
No,
He's still there.
He was like,
that
I love
problem.
my job. I made it my passion. So
yeah, it's stressful, like I said before. Yeah, stressful, but it all depends. It all depends on. There's several factors. If you want, what you put into it is called efficiency. What you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it.
Right.
And so, if you want to be that, then you do the things that are necessary in order to do it.
Right.
Although there are going to be, there'll be some things out there that that won't make you get to that point. But
Right.
if you put the time, the effort, and people see that, they're more than willing to help you to get to where you want to go.
Yeah,
what
that's
kind
it.
of person do you think it takes to be an air traffic controller?
What type of personality or something?
Yeah, like
Well,
personality.
I say that my understanding there are 8 personalities.
Okay.
The A-type persons who will,
Yeah.
Who don't mind taking charge? They know. Yeah. But I guess you got to have some type of. Got to take charge. If you're talking to a bunch of pilots, it's got a plane full of people. You got to get them on the ground safely. How does it work with the pilots? Are they pretty? Do they listen or do
Yes.
sometimes?
Well, we're there to provide a service, and we're there to work as a team to facilitate the movement of people, passengers, and cargo,
Right.
and the military out there also. So yeah, we're there to do a job.
Okay.
So everybody realizes we're all professionals, so we work together to accomplish the mission.
Awesome. Man, that's like pretty official right there.
Yeah.
You keep it nice. So you've done these interviews before. You know exactly what to say and what not to say. So can you describe like one of the most rewarding days that you've ever experienced in this job?
Not
Or
rewarding
is it air
days.
traffic or anything? As a
know,
controller or as the
rewarding-
boss?
Rewarding is making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rewarding. Long as everybody else is doing their job, I'm doing mine.
Right. Right.
My job is to communicate, lead, provide leadership, provide vision, and constantly communicate. Constantly communicate what we're supposed to be accomplishing, because we are humans.
Right.
Humans make mistakes, but
Right.
we need to know we have to train, we have to retrain constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Okay.
on a basis. Yeah.
Right. What about what's the most stressful? What about the most stressful day?
Is when you hear something in the news, and then we have to say, stop. Let's make sure we have all the facts
Right.
before we start talking.
Right.
So that's what we tell people, just stop. Let's make sure we have all the facts because, rumor and propaganda is going to be out there, but we need to know what the facts are.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so they said forgetting it don't have anything to do with opinion.
Right.
We just need to know, what's going on, what's happening.
When an incident occurs, we need to dig into the incident. We need to be transparent with all the information because nowadays people from all around can get that information. So we
Right.
just need to make sure we are transferring the correct and accurate information when we have these conversations.
No, that's amazing.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you're the Chicago district.
Yes.
So, once a plane, like if a plane leaves from O'Hare
Mm-hmm.
and gets into a new district, does it transfer over?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's just say an airplane is going to take off of LA, so on the West Coast, and it's going to end up in New York.
Yeah.
The airplane takes off of LAX, goes through Albuquerque,
Yeah.
goes through Kansas City, goes maybe through Chicago, goes through probably Cleveland, goes through New York, and then lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about the same thing as you all's logistics here,
Right.
where you get your parts from, come
Exactly.
here
Yeah.
and get there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then they kind of pass, so they kind of
Yeah.
pass it off
Right.
in every section.
Exactly.
So like they said, they're coming into the aerospace.
Right.
You know. Now, how are drones affecting you guys? I know I hear that all the time. People got these private drones. When I remember not too long ago, it was an air balloon they didn't know where it's from. Shoot it down, don't shoot it down. I mean, it seemed like everybody's trying to evade every type of deal that's going on now. Right now, they got these drones that just fly out of everywhere.
Well, there are regulations. There's a department, or an office for that also.
Right.
So yeah, you're gonna once something is new,
Yep.
there are gonna be some hiccups.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
But eventually, the drones, you got to register them. You got to whenever you. There are regulations out there for where you can fly and where you shouldn't be flying.
Right.
And the reason I say that, I have a drone myself and I registered mine with the United States government.
Okay.
So there's certain locations you can fly, and there's certain locations you cannot. You shouldn't be flying at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like near airports,
Yeah.
right. But out here, where in farmland and all that kind of stuff, yeah, you can fly out there.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
but there is regulations for that also.
Why do we have to turn our phones off on the plane? I
Oh
mean,
my
I'm
God,
like,
yes, that's a great question.
every time they got to tell you either
it's
airplane mode or
yeah,
get a.
the electronics in the phone sometimes they affect the equipment in the aircraft.
Oh, so that is a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just more government control. I mean, we love the government. Don't get me wrong. We love the federal
we
government.
love the
Say that
federal
again.
government. We love the federal government. Don't shut us down. We love you.
Right. So your phone can give mixed signals? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I shut it off just so you know. I go airplane
I do
mode all the
too,
time.
yeah.
And plus now you got internet on there.
Yeah.
And you can text right there. So, it's easy. No, well, we appreciate that. I mean, this is something that I wanted to get you on because we met at a conference we was both at, right? And I had to get up and I told about the car business, how I got in, how I ended up becoming a dealership owner. And about 7, 8 people later, then Mr. Hall got up and I was just blown away with his story. And his testimony and how he got from what was it, Mississippi? You
No,
said?
I've lived in Mississippi. My grandparents were from there, so I used to go down there in the summers to live on their farm. But I'm born and raised in Chicago. Like
Oh,
I
so
said.
you're a Chicago
Yeah,
guy too. So
yeah,
that's how we roll in Chicago.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I graduated from Simeon.
Simeon.
Yeah.
That's okay. There you go, Simeon.
Where'd you graduate from?
Hyde Park High School.
Right. So
Are they
We used
close?
to be, we kind of close. We used to get them in football. They used to get us in basketball. They was the
Right.
basketball team, man. They used to kill people in
Are you guys the
basketball.
same age?
I don't know. I'm 58. How old are
I'm
you?
older than you.
Okay, yeah.
wasn't
He's probably
sure.
if we was the same age, you probably would have been dunking on me back in the day.
Because I wasn't sure if maybe your paths had crossed at some point. If you guys were similar
Who
ages,
knows?
like
Yeah,
maybe
we are.
maybe
No,
back
that's
in the
fine.
day,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
guys.
But I
went to
graduated
similar
in
schools?
83.
Yeah, I was in
80?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, 83. So in 80, I was a freshman.
Yeah.
But in my freshman year, I played football. So,
Okay.
So yeah. But
So you whooped their butt.
well, but they killed it. They was champions in basketball. I mean, everywhere they had people coming from. Derrick Rose, you know Derrick Rose. You ever heard of Derrick Rose? He was-
D Rose.
D Rose, right? For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, he came
Yeah.
from Simeon.
Ah.
Yeah, he came. And your favorite singer, R. Kelly, came from Simeon too.
Oh,
and
no,
Nick
Ke-
Nick
Kevin,
Anderson.
we don't like R. Kelly.
Okay.
Don't get us canceled. We do not support R. Kelly. Let's put that out there. We do not support R. Kelly.
He was a platinum artist. Somebody was supporting him at one time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Nick Anderson, he played in the NBA. He was from. It was they had a lot of famous people from Simeon. Simeon was the school. I can't give him take no mess from him. Right.
So can I say I participate and sponsor kids. We do an annual aviation camp here
Okay.
at Lewis University.
Okay.
And I try to introduce kids to careers in aviation.
Okay.
So I sponsor, sometimes some other years, 2 or 3 children, high school kids to attend that at Lewis University. It's a week-long camp, and the kids get exposure to careers in aviation. You know, they go up in towers, they're traffic control towers.
Wow.
They build bottle rockets. They do. They attend the world's largest air show out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
I was living in Wisconsin for 20 years, and every year when they came up there, they just shut it down. The Blue Angels would come up, and
they get a chance.
Huge.
We take them up there also.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there on your podcast also.
Okay.
So if anyone is interested in a scholarship from me, all they have to do is my Facebook page is ADH Foundation Inc.
ADH Foundation Inc.
Yeah, that's it's named after my wife.
Okay.
And
What's her name, if you don't mind?
Angela Denise Hall.
All right. Okay.
So it's ADH Foundation, and like the page,
Okay.
and let us know if you have a child or grandchild or nephew or niece, and we can do something to see which individuals I will be giving the scholarships to.
That's awesome.
You know what? And I think it's what another common thing is that we've been finding out. We've been doing this podcast is that the most successful people always find it or seem driven to give back, and it's glad to see that you're doing the same thing. And every time we like, okay, how can we be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to help. So we definitely want to participate in that. We definitely be a part of that, and we want to link in with you on that. So guys, you got that. It's called ADH Foundation Inc. Like the page.
On Facebook.
It's on Facebook, and it's an annual aviation camp.
Out of Lewis University down in Romeoville, Illinois. You're on the page when you see there's a child in a spacesuit.
Okay.
Also, I sponsored, my company sponsors kids to go down to Huntsville, Alabama to the U.S. Rocket Center.
Okay.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
that's where they learn how to become an astronaut. They get that kind of training.
Yeah,
Astronaut, robotics
that's
and all of
super
that.
cool.
Yeah. So I sponsored that also. Again, it's about giving back.
Yeah, for
So-
sure.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. So you guys check out the page, man. It's got a plethora of information. And this has been a great interview. We've learned a lot. Mr. Deno Hall, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again so much. Thank you for taking out the time. I
We
know
really
your schedule is
appreciate it.
super busy, and we've been trying to get you on here for a long time. So thank you for making a trip
No
out here.
problem. I appreciate it. Hey, I just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, again, and we because you giving out your time to us, we want to be giving it to your foundation to help get those kids off of there. So we're going to be making a donation.
Oh, great.
From Court Street Ford. Remember, this podcast is brought to you by Court Street Ford, located at 558 Wilmington Boulevard.
No, it's Drive.
And Drive in Bourbonnais, Illinois.
He always does that. Boulevard. I'm like, Kevin, it's Drive.
Drive. As well as American Transit Team in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we take your loved ones to where they want to be. So thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for your time. This is U-Turn with Kevin.
And Emma, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.